All right, so as promised, I created a self-study Javadoc thing. Anyways, just read it, follow the links. I do have my own like PowerPoint presentation on this that I normally don't go over it until Java or Java 2, but it's something that they also want taught in Java, in this first Java class. So I'm going to kind of just go over this really quick. It's pretty simple. After you've read like all the information on these links, I mean this one right here is kind of big. I know, like you don't have to read it all, but just to kind of read like enough to get yourself familiarized with what you're doing. But the way this works is it actually generates documentation that you can use and host like on your company website. You know, like if a developer wanted to know more about a class. So currently, like if I go to Java API, I have this nice document here where I can read more about the string class, right? It has all this information here. So the way it works for your own personal class is you're gonna find a class that you wanna document, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll choose this box.java. All right, so in this box class, I have a constructor, I have some methods, I have a toString. I guess I'm missing a lot of methods here, but let me just add like a getter and a setter for something. Let's see. So I'm gonna say public void set length, and they're gonna take in a value, and then we're going to assign the value. But let's just say I had an if statement here. I'll say like if value is greater than 0, because I don't want 0 or a negative number to be assigned to the length of my box. Then I'll go ahead and assign the value that is passed into my length. And then the other thing is I'm going to return the length. So I'm going to say get length. That's simply going to just return back the length. All right, it's pretty standard. Okay. You know, we'll have more getters and setters here, but this is kind of like what you had to do for the chapter 4 homework. Okay, so the way that you write class level documentation is using a Javadoc comment. Is you use a multi-line comment. Like this is a multi-line comment, right? Everybody agree? Okay, so a Javadoc comment actually has 2 stars up here. Okay, like once you put 2 stars up there, now it becomes a Javadoc comment, and it's basically just a way for the Javadoc process to parse your comments out of your class, right? So we're gonna run like a process that's gonna read our class and just rip out all those comments so that it can create like some documentation for this class that I'm creating, right? So up here I'm gonna say this class is used to represent a box object. It contains, so you're basically making notes for somebody who's going to use this class, right? So you can think of somebody else that's working at your company or working on your team who didn't actually write the box class, but they just want to know more about what the box class actually does. Okay, they're not necessarily going to come here to read your comments. You do want detailed comments here, but these comments are going to get parsed out of this document and converted to an HTML file that you can host on your company website. So I'm going to say it contains instance data for length, width, depth, and a Boolean that indicates if the box is full. And a Boolean, and then we'll just I'll name it a Boolean full. You can get into much detail as you want. Maybe we'll say over here, we'll say it contains float instance data. Float instance data for length, width, depth, and then a Boolean full that indicates if and then over here, you can use we have tags for different things. So that's what I want you actually to read. So I'm going to just pull up my lecture really quick. If you go under lectures, there's something called Javadoc .powerpoint. We could read through all this, but it's pretty. I kept it pretty simple, right? You have these different tags, right? You can specify the author, you can specify the version, and then since you don't really, I'm not really looking for you to do this on the homework assignment that I gave you, but I do want the author tag in there. But here they're kind of giving a very descriptive detail about what the class does, and I'll come over here and just say author, and I'll just put my name. Okay, and I'll save that. And let's see, what else do we have in here? Oh, you know what? Typically, they put these stars on every line. I wonder if that makes a difference. I'm not sure. I just think that just these 2 stars here is what initiates it. But I guess to look nice, there'll be like a star on every line. But I'm not going to do it because I'm just going to see if I don't think it makes a difference. But we'll find out. All right. And then over here we want to put like some documentation on this constructor. Okay, so this constructor will create a box object with the data passed into the method. Maybe I'll put like the data, I'll put the dimension data passed into the method and initializes full to false, right? So it's giving me detail that full is actually being set to false when I first create this object. I think that's probably something important to know, that the full instance data is actually being set to false. Now, another tag that you do put in these things is parameters that are passed in. So you have a parameter for length, you have a parameter for width, and then we have a parameter for depth. Okay, then you'll kind of just maybe give a description of what each one of those does. Right, I'll just put a float of the length, and then here I'll put like a float of the width and a float the depth. Oh shoot. All right, let me come down to my setter. I'm going to document my setter. I think it's actually this one's actually an important one to document because I'm actually filtering out the data. Right, so this is something that you want to indicate to another developer is like, hey, I'm not going to take anything unless it's greater than 1. Okay, so here I'll say this method sets the length of the box if the value passed to the method is greater than 0. Okay, and then the parameter that it takes in is value, a float of the length to which the box should be set to. All right, and then the getter, let me just do this getter really quick. All right, I'm gonna say this method returns the length. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward, right? Just returns the length of the box. All right. Now there is a return type here, so you do need to specify that. So there is a tag for a method that returns something, and it's just return. But return, and then I'll say a float length of the box. All right. Pretty straightforward. You can keep documenting, right? In fact, I'm going to make you document. If you actually read the homework, I'm going to make you document all the methods in the account class that you're supposed to do for the homework that I assigned you for the last class that we had. So you are going to add Java documentation to that class. Okay. We're just going to scroll up and kind of see what I've added. I do have some methods that don't have any Java documentation on them. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Yes.
documentation, or every one file can have both the documentation?
So we could do one file that can have both the documentation and work correctly. But for this particular assignment, I'm actually going to look at the generated HTML files. So you're going to have to actually go generate the HTML files, and then that's going to be what you turn into for your grade. So I'm going to come over here to command prompt. All right, and if you have Java installed correctly, you should also have Javadoc. If you just type like Javadoc -version, it should tell you something. Oh, just telling you how to use it. Okay, it didn't really like me typing in Javadoc version. All right, so I know that my box class lives on my desktop, so I'm going to change directory to my desktop. Now I'm going to run the command to actually generate this HTML files that are going to give me some documentation of the class that I just documented. If you go back to the assignment that I created, where is it? Okay, this is the command. Javadoc -d. -d is where you want to store, like the folder you want to store this data. If you don't have one, I believe you just specify something and it's going to auto create it. And then this is the source. The next parameter is the source of where you're actually going to read the Javadoc comments for. Okay, so here I tell you to do account.java. I'm going to do box.java. I'm going to say Javadoc -d, and I'll just say my Java docs. Okay, and then I'm going to say box.java, press enter. It's doing something, and it finished. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to click on the folder that contains my documentation right here. Wait, no, where is it? Oh, right here. My Java docs. Click on that. You can see it created all this mess here. I'm going to click on the index. The index.html is like the starting point for this. So I'm click here, and you can see that I have a class called box, and it imported in like the comments that I made for this, right? So, right, this is used to represent a box object. I guess I should have put this class is used. I don't know, but anyways, you can kind of read through it and see like the details that I gave. For the methods that I gave no detail to, you can see like, you know, like if I was a developer trying to figure out a box class that you wrote and I saw this, I'd be like, what the heck? Like, what does this do? Like, what the heck? What does this do, right? Like, you'd want some more detail of what is actually happening. Here, I'm saying the length, this method returns the length of the box. Pretty self-explanatory, though. And then set length, I think is probably something good to document because there is like a requirement in order for this to actually be set correctly. And that is that the value that is being passed in has to be greater than 0. Okay. And if you click like on get length, I'm going to click on get length, and it tells you like has like a return section because that's where the return tag came in. And then if you look at the setter one, right, it's showing you the different parameters. I wonder why it has 2 dashes here. Am I supposed to put, I guess it auto put a dash for me. I put a dash thinking that I had to do it. I guess I didn't have to do it. So let me go to my set length. So in other words, they didn't want me to put this dash here, I guess. Anyways, but you can see how it got generated. Right, so there's my documentation, and then there's my information about the parameter. Here's my documentation for the method, and then here is what I wrote about what it returns. All right, pretty simple, but I do want you to read more stuff about this, learn some different tags, and you're going to document your account class. All right, any questions on that? All right, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can show me or bounce questions off of me. I just want you to, when you're doing this, what I'm looking for is making some type of statement or sentences that describe what the method actually does. So just pretend like if you're trying to describe it to another developer, right? They're not looking at this class. All they have to read is what was created, right? They're coming here, and they're seeing empty box. And they're like, what does empty box do, right? And then you should have some documentation saying this method sets the full to false, right? And then fill box sets full to true, right? Just something so the developer knows, okay, that's what the method does, right? So that's what I'm looking for. It's just you're basically just going to document that account class.